listen, if you're a long-term crypto investor, I know you are. I'm talking about you, the pejorative, the rhetorical out there and across the world. You've been through 50% declines before, right? And if you've stomached it, you've gotten rich. What do you see as the next sort of bull catalyst for crypto, Anthony?
Most people watching this show, they went to Economics 101 class, and when they sat there, one of the first things they were taught was supply and demand. When you look at Bitcoin, about 19 million of the 21 million Bitcoin are sitting out there in the circulating supply. Of that, a majority are being held for over 1 year without trading hands. So it's a highly illiquid circulating supply. And so when you look at things like the halving that's coming up next year, it's a supply shock to an asset. That usually leads to more media coverage. That media coverage then leads to more institutional participation. You add in things like BlackRock coming in with their ETF applications, also others like ARK Invest, et cetera. And then you even look at things like these futures, right? Futures make up about 80% of all trading volume in the crypto industry. There's over $1 trillion worth of that trading volume every single year. If you look at something like there's a new data platform called Velo Data that goes and highlights a lot of this stuff, you can see the volumes are trading and people are not leaving. So the mainstream conversation has changed. But if you just look at supply and demand, highly illiquid market, and you're going to get these catalysts to the upside. And so when that happens, it over and over again, I expect that there will be a much higher Bitcoin price in the coming months.
What comes to mind when you hear the term refi? If you're a homeowner, you might think refinancing your home. But for crypto, it has taken on a whole new meaning. Regenerative finance has been described as the intersection of crypto and climate. It's a financial model that incentivizes community actions to help solve systemic issues like global warming and waste management.
Refi really is combining the best of decentralized finance, DeFi, with the concepts of regenerative economics and basically having a tool set that creates financial instruments, financial markets, really broadly an economic system that has positive externalities, so brings benefits to people, to their communities, and ultimately to the planet.
And our view on business is, business is war. We go to war every day.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Support this great content by hitting the Cash App and by joining the Patreon.
And guys, we had Bitcoin and crypto pull back. We had pump on CNBC. Speaking of the catalyst that can keep Bitcoin moving up. But guys, we know the Fed controls it all. And when he talks about supply and demand, he should say the Fed. Because if we look at any pump that happened, the Fed was behind it. And when we look at the pullback, the Fed is behind it. So what is a crypto teacher? Follow the Fed. It cuts out the guesswork. And then, guys, we have the Salo founder, which we know is MIT. And again, we hear about the climate agenda. Now refi. Encouraging businesses to look at the long-term effects instead of short-term. Now, do you really believe these big corporations are worried about the climate agenda when we can look right over there in Africa and still see all the mining that's going on right now? And then on top of it, guys, majority of the work are done by kids. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And guys, we know Japan is holding up this legacy market until they're ready to flip the switch on this fourth industrial revolution, where the robots, algorithms, and drones take the economy over, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse. And you heard it from the horse's mouth. And guys, this was back in 2018, and he clearly states a year ago, so that was 2017, that they had already started pushing the fourth industrial revolution. Remember, guys, I tell you, this is a plan. A plan moves in phases. It just doesn't happen overnight. But we can clearly see the wheels in motion for the machine takeover. And, guys, we see when it comes to the United States dollar, we see Russia's completely off in other countries and the emerging markets. And we know that final piece, that final catalyst is China. And we see the wheels in motion for that also. All you have to do is look at the Belt and Road and the countries that are attached to it and the population. So they're going to be definitely the largest economy on the globe by far. And we know the United States, Babylon 2.0, is definitely falling. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows. when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
In the sense of that, for the first time in really 30 years, Mr. and Mrs. Watanabe, the Japanese population, is actually seeing positive income, positive wage growth. Until now, all the inflation was cost push from higher energy, higher food prices, and the weaker currency. Over the last couple of months, demand pull, so good inflation, and that's an excellent, takeoff stage for the Bank of Japan, to contemplate that their job is actually done.
Well, they're still engaging in rinban operations. In light of what you said, is this not a massive policy mistake on the Bank of Japan's part?
It is interesting. I do not think so. They are normalizing the Japanese bond market because remember, in Japan, we've had zero interest rates for almost one generation, not just for a couple of months, not just for a couple of years. So, going slowly, allowing for the bond market to reliquify, allowing for market participants to take over from where the Bank of Japan used to dominate all the action in the fixed income market, it's the right and prudent policy.
How closely do you think they're watching the weakness in the yen? We're sitting at 145 now. Ever since they made that tweak with YCC policy, the expectation was that the currency would strengthen. Obviously, that has not happened. It's continued to move in the wrong direction. A weaker currency, as we know, is inflationary. They've got to do something about it.
I don't think so again. The reason for why the dollar is strengthening is because, as you all know, U.S. interest rate expectations are changing with the long bond yield rising steadily. So, right now, the movement in the currency market is led by the United States, not by what's going on in Japan. So from that perspective, I think it would be inopportune. It would, in fact, be wasted money if the Bank of Japan were to intervene right now.
Good afternoon. My name is Murat Sönmez. I'm a member of the Managing Board of the World Economic Forum, also the head of the Forum Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution in San Francisco. A year ago in this town, we announced a concept of creating a platform, a place, a dedicated space to accelerate the impact of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, not just for the privileged few who can afford it, but for the rest of the society. It was a concept. It was warmly adopted by a number of businesses, governments, and they said, if you set it up, we will be a part of it. And in the original founding team, Japan was the METI, Minister of Economy and Trade and Industry, was the first government and said, we're in. And in fact, their fellow showed up in San Francisco even before we launched the center. That shows the importance and the attention. We also had Sompo Holdings from insurance sector and said, look, these changes have a huge impact on insurance, and we're in thanks to Sakurada-san, followed by Suntory later on as a founding partner. And our goal at the center is to accelerate the impact to citizens and society by bringing together governments, civil society, businesses, international organizations, experts, to accelerate, to create these governance protocols, accelerate them by implementing pilots. In just 10 months, it sounds better. Should I start again or good to go? Okay, you can replay. In just 10 months, we have achieved a lot. It was an exciting moment. We established truly a dream team of leaders on blockchain, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, data policy, drones, autonomous vehicles, precision medicine, and the environment, and agile governance. We have today 37 partners, including the founding partners, Sompo and Suntory, Microsoft, SAP, Palantir, Turkcell, Kaiser Permanente, and Reliance Holdings. I was really excited when we launched the center and got the attention and the adoption from around the world. Today, I am 10 times, 100 times more excited because with the active participation of the Japanese government and active collaboration with the Asia Pacific Institute, we're announcing the opening of our very first sister center in Japan, in Tokyo.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go, but clearly we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Crypto Teacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, BitChute, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.